មាជិកគណៈបកសង្គ្រោះជាតិប្រាជ្ញាផ្លេចមានសាមគ្គីក្រុមនានាសង្គ្រោះបំរើការពារកម្ពុជាខ្មែរត្រឹមរកគ្នាពីមពីសិទ្ធិសេរីឯករាជ្យបូរណភាពអធិបតេយ្យខ្មែរប្រស្រីបដូរផ្ដាច់ថែរក្សាមិនឲ្យបរទេសឈ្លានពានមកត្រួតត្រាសម្បត្តិដូនតាធនធានជាតិខ្មែរព្រះអាទិត្យរាំងបំភ្លឺកម្ពុជាខ្មែរឯកភាពគ្នាដងស្រាយបញ្ហាយោបាយសេដ្ឋកិច្ចសង្គមអហិង្សាសិលធម៌ថ្លៃថ្លាជីវភាពរុងរឿងដីយើងពូជយើងភូខលយើងខ្មែរក្រោកឡើងសង្គ្រោះជាតិខេមរាបោះឆ្នោតឲ្យចំដល់អំណាចជូនប្រជាដើម្បីកម្ពុជារួមរឿងសេនសានជ័យយោគណៈបកសង្គ្រោះជាតិសមាជិកគណៈបកសង្គ្រោះជាតិប្រាជ្ញាថ្មីគ្មានសាមគ្គីក្រុមនានាសង្គ្រោះបំរើការពារកម្ពុជាខ្មែរត្រឹមរកគ្នាពីមពីសិទ្ធិសេរីឯករាជ្យបូរណភាពអធិបតេយ្យខ្មែរប្រស្រីបដូរផ្ដាច់ថែរក្សាមិនឲ្យបរទេសឈ្លានពានមកត្រួតត្រាសម្បត្តិដូនតាធនធានជាតិខ្មែរព្រះអាទិត្យរាំងបំភ្លឺកម្ពុជាខ្មែរឯកភាពគ្នាដងស្រាយបញ្ហាយោបាយសេដ្ឋកិច្ចសង្គមអហិង្សាសិលធម៌ថ្លៃថ្លាជីវភាពរុងរឿងដីយើងពូជយើងភូខលយើងខ្មែរក្រោកឡើងសង្គ្រោះជាតិខេមរាបោះឆ្នោតឲ្យចំផ្ដល់អំណាចជូនប្រជាដើម្បីកម្ពុជារួមរឿងសេនសាន
and thank you for joining our show. Welcome and hello. My name is Linda Wu, and thank you for joining Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. This show is part of CNRP America live Facebook show. Today is Tuesday, June 14, 2022. If you are in Cambodia, it should be June 15 already. Again, welcome. Thank you for joining our show. We will have a really great discussions. Our topic for today will be Cambodia court convicted opposition figures in a mass trial. I know many of the shows in Cambodia, in Khmer, so this show is probably the very few show that's in English. We will give you what's going on yesterday, what's going on in Cambodia yesterday. So please join our show. Please comment. Please give us what you think of what's going on when we after our discussions or doing our discussions. And as always, thank you my Facebook fans, and thank you for our audience that always here every Tuesday to support this show. Your input is very valuable to us, and if you like and enjoy the show, please share that. Again, this show is in English. CNRP-A show is 7 days per week. Please join in 6 days in Khmer. We have different show, we have different topic, and also different hosts as well. So please tune in, and every Tuesday is on the only day that we speak English. So our audience, our youth, and all Cambodian overseas can able to understand and aware of these situations in Cambodia. And I will be talking about the opposition party, which is CNRP, which is us. I have Mr. Somrangsi's book behind me, and I also will speak regarding Ming Seng theory. So I have one of her book behind me as well. Her book can be ordered from Amazon. I'm not sure you can order anymore. She was working on getting more published with a different company. So I'm not sure how far that been because she was so consumed of the trial that was going on, and we will talk about that in a little bit. Please welcome my guests. I have two wonderful guests, and they always give their time. Anytime I ask, I can call them last night. I did call them last night, and they said sure. So they're here. So my first guest, his name is Ricky. He is the General Secretary of CNRP-A. Let me welcome him. ជំរាបសួរលោក Ricky.
Linda.
How are you?
I am okay. Yeah, we are not happy with what's happening in Cambodia right now. That's why I'm wearing black.
Yes,
it's a black day in Cambodia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very gloomy day for democracy. It's a very gloomy day for the defending of freedom of speech, freedom of expressions. So all of my guests wear some form of black. I have the T-shirts inside. If you can see, it's the picture of the prisoner. So asking all our activists and supporters that's still in prison, we would like release unconditionally and now. So thank you, Lok Ricky. How's life in Modesto? What you did today? Tell us what you did today.
Today's a full moon day and one of important day in the Buddhist religion. So we took flowers to the temple, my wife and my son, and we just did the praying over there too. For peace and for prosperity. We keep praying all the time wherever we could.
Thank you, Ricky. You reminded me. I think outside they call a strawberry moon. It's very bright and kind of reddish. So as if you go to temple, please go pray. If you didn't go to temple, go outside and look at the moon and pray for peace and prosperity, and especially peace to everywhere. Thank you, Ricky, for reminding that. My second guest, let me bring him out. His name is Samady. Thank you, Samady, for being here. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Bong. It's just that it's unfortunate today that after a landslide victory, Cambodia have taken a new turn, which is not surprising under Hun Sen regime. So, which is so unpredictable. Sometimes I thought he would change, but it seems like he really want the European Union to put more pressures on him. So. That is currently in Cambodia right now.
Thank you, Sammy. Did you happen to go outside yesterday or today to look at the moon?
No, but it's hot. No, I did not look at the moon.
Okay. After the show, you can go outside and look at the moon. It's like strawberry-ish color. So enjoy the view and wish upon the moon and wish for peace.
Yes,
I have Mr. Ricky back. Thank you both guys. The event yesterday, let me read a little bit. Let me see. Yesterday, Tuesday in Cambodia, the Phnom Penh court convicted more than 50 people, 50 opposition figures for treason. Many were connected to the Cambodian National Rescue Party, which the Supreme Court dissolved the party over 5 years ago. So when Cambodia Supreme Court dissolved CNRP, it gave way to Prime Minister Hun Sen to continue his authoritarian style of ruling. So as a result, yesterday, almost 60, we say over 50 opposition figures got convicted and for treason. So that is related to November 9, 2019. This is an important date. Look, Rikia is he is more familiar. We all familiar with that. And for our audience that doesn't remember or doesn't call what November 9, 2019 is, I would like Ricky to explain a little bit, because the trial yesterday, over 50 opposition supporter and activists got convicted based on that date. So if Mr. Ricky can explain what's going on November 9, 2019.
Actually, November 9 in 1953 is the independent days when French colony left Cambodia, or we gained independence from France, who controlled Indochina at the time. And then when it comes to November 19 of 2019, after like 3 or 4 years after the opposition, actually 2 years after the opposition party was dissolved, CNRP was dissolved on November 16, 2017. We never had any political solution at all. All opposition leaders refused to go back to Cambodia, even just to face trial. So we were waiting and trying to find every way possible to go into Cambodia. And then we finally decided as a team, as the whole party leaders, say, you know what, even if Hun Sen did not want us to go in, we want to go in, we want to make change. And we asked all the soldiers and the police forces to help the people, because they're working for the Cambodian people. And if the Hun Sen ordered them to shoot the opposition leaders while they're entering Cambodia, they should change their rifles or cannons against the Hun Sen regime, who ordered to kill the patriots who would like to restore democracy in Cambodia, which Hun Sen did not want to happen. So leaders, CNRP leaders all over the world gathered to, along the Thai-Cambodian border. Even His Excellency Sam Rainsy and Madame Busahur and a few important leaders, even though they refused to enter Thailand, they were in Malaysia trying to go back to Cambodia. And we meant in a good way, not to fight against Hun Sen, but to restore democracy. But in case our message was not clear, we want to say it again. We want to restore democracy. But in case the regime ordered the soldiers and the policemen to turn their rifle against us, we say, no, we're working for the people. Do it to whoever order you guys. So that's why Hun Sen spent billions of dollars trying to ask the Thai government to stop. Even Malaysian, His Excellency Sam Rainsy had a hard time entering Malaysia at the time too. So, but mostly along the Thai-Cambodian border, at least 15 entrants from Thailand into Cambodian border were blocked, 3 layers of Thai soldiers from the inside. And Cambodia, they took all the patrols in the city, policemen, soldiers. They tried to buff up along the Thai-Cambodian border just in case opposition leaders enters. And the people in Cambodia, especially the opposition activists, trying to help. So they want to receive the patriot who wanted to come back, because those are the people that are suffering every day. They want to see real democracy restored in Cambodia. And our goal failed because Hun Sen did not open the borders. and instead, a week or two later, they start arresting our activists one by one, and they like I believe about 75 people at least were arrested right after a few weeks after the November 9, 2019. So they keep arresting and more. They turn the accusation against the leaders. So in fact, they said, okay, you got treason, like Linda said earlier. It's whoever speak against the government, it's treason. Whoever tried to protest, to speak up for the people, they were accused of being, you know, not loyal to the government, and that's why the people get in trouble. But we have to stand up. We say, no freedom or power will be given to you unless you work hard for it, and the triumph can be had without the struggle. So that's what opposition leaders were for. We are not against the government, but we are against the dictatorship who refuse our justice for the Cambodian people. That's why we work so hard, and that's the problem. Then I see some comments. We can move on and on without, you know, stopping here. And Lynn, if you have any question, I was there myself actually. Yeah, on November 9, I was along the Thai-Cambodian border, and we tried to go through the Thai barricades at least 3 layers before we get to Longkur, which is the one of the town on Thai-Cambodian border on the along the Bantean Bien Chey province.
Since you were there, Ricky, did you bring gun or bring ammunition? Because they were, like you were mentioned, all the military in Cambodia was everywhere. It's like this looks the people that planning to enter the country, enter Cambodia, how gun, how weapon that's gonna go and fight them.
That's a good question. That they were accusing us of trying to topple down the government. But in fact, we went there with just the passport or the ID. Actually, we carry our passport because the U.S. citizen, people from Europe or New Zealand, and even if you have a knife or a gun, the Thai soldier won't let you pass their checkpoints, because there are 3 checkpoints before we get to the Thai-Cambodian border. You know how hard it is. So we got nothing but the passport and a heart. And they accuse us for trying to overthrow the government. That's what those people that were facing trial yesterday in Cambodia with the 14 were accused of. And now they try to go back to square one again. They don't forget.
Yes.
They don't forgive, actually. They don't forget, but sometimes they forgive, but they don't forgive. They trying to tighten the iron fist on opposition activists now.
This is from the medias, the regime mouthpiece, famous medias. It said that November 19 is the what it called attempt to overthrow the legitimate government, plot masterminded by the extremist opposition Samrang-C. That's how they describe the November 19. So legitimate government. And now we're talking about Mr. Samrang-C. Mr. Samrang-C, he's the acting president of CNRP. And he also, like Mr. Ricky said, he's going to go in, but they wouldn't let him pass the airport, that they wouldn't let him board the plane to go to Cambodia.
Even to Thailand.
To Thailand, yeah. Not even cross Thailand,
Not
yes.
even Thailand.
It's not even there yet. Mm-hmm.
He had to go to Malaysia on that day.
Yes.
So November 9, 2019, that's the history.
Yes. Now Samady, Mr. Samrangsi is the acting president. So shouldn't he be the first one to be in Cambodia to stand on trial and saying and defend himself, defend his supporter and his activists? That should be the correct way to do. But why wouldn't they let him in? Now 2022, they wouldn't let him in to Cambodia to defend himself. But at the same time, yesterday, he also get additional 8 years. So I miscount how many years already that Mr. Samrangsi, all those lawsuit against him and the pile up and pile up. So this time I
About
lost
50
count.
years right now, Linda. About 50 years.
50 years.
42 plus 8 more, yeah.
Now he is that plus 8
50 years
already?
in there, yeah.
Okay,
All
so
the
over
counts.
50.
Hmm.
So if he were to return and he want to return
Right.
and he want to go to jail, gonna be another 50 year till he getting out. And he want to be there. He want to defend himself. Why wouldn't they let him defend himself? Somebody. Why would they keep preventing Mr. Samrangsi from
Mhm.
going into Cambodia where he said, "Hey, I'm here. I want to go in. I want to go to trial."
Mhm. So, as you know, the main opponent that can go against Hun Sen ever since I was born, I know that that is Sam Rainsy. Hun Sen is only afraid of Sam Rainsy in Cambodia, and I think he learned his lesson from this previous match against Mr. Sam Rainsy. He learned that his tongue is sharper than a knife. He can kill Hun Sen without drawing blood. So. If you let him in, he would use his tongue to defend his own right against Hun Sen, the regime, his mother-in-law, that's what they call it. So Mr. Sarnasi would be able to use his tongue to defend himself against Hun Sen, which is his mother-in-law. Um, he's afraid of that because one, he is a international political figure. If he let him in, he must arrest Sam Rainsy, or else no one will respect Hun Sen word from now on. So we have to arrest him. But if he arrests the main opposition leader and the international political figure, this would cause him problem. I can guarantee if he let Mr. Sam Rainsy in tomorrow and he got arrested and he throw him in jail for 50 plus years. I think he's 70 now. 50 more years would be 120 years at least by the time he got out. That would be banished on EBA, and this would kill Cambodian GDP. He know that the country would walk backward. As we know, the Cambodian export to Europe is 40%, to US is 60. So this wall is from agriculture of Cambodian economic. And Cambodia has great relationship with the EU. So if the EU decide to get rid of EBA, basically the US would follow through too. So this would force the country to walk backward. And he know too well that China would not be a great friend to Cambodia in this case because they still want Cambodia to pay their debt that they own, which using Cambodian people, not the regime. The regime spent all the money on this political campaign, buying people, 5 cases of beer. In Bravang, they buy everyone beer. So if they got elected and commune election. So in this case, they're just wasting money um, on stuff that doesn't matter in this case.
Thank you, Samady. Our yesterday convictions. There's an American, and Mr. Samrangsi. He's also have a French. He's citizen, a friend. Our yesterday conviction. There's Miss Saint Terry. She is an American lawyer. Our audience probably heard of her because she's been preparing herself for the court and her case also been dragged out as well. Like Ricky said, we all said November 9, 2019. So from that day on, it's like until now, people are still arrested, people are still convicted based on that. So it's 3 years, over almost 3 years. Is it 3 years? Yeah, almost 3 years, and it's still going on. And Miss Saint Terry, she's in Cambodia. She's refused to leave Cambodia. She's go to trial, whatever day it is that she's supposed to be on trial, that show up at court, she be there. So yesterday they convicted her, sentenced her to 6 years in jail, and at the same time, as soon as the convictions was read, they drag her to court. So I have a short video clip for our audience that's not familiar with the case yesterday to see what's going on. And this is how, based on her speech, based on her freedom of speech, what Ming Terry did was supporting Sam Rainsy coming into Cambodia. And she's how like drawing number 9 for November 19, raising the 9 finger, waiting for him to come back. So that's from her point, her opinion, her freedom of expression. So I
Also,
have
before you play that video, I just want to add one more. The second attempt for repatriation was on January 15, 2020. Madame Boussahur, we thought that Hun Sen was afraid of Sam Rainsy, so we decided to send Her Excellency Boussahur, and I went again with her, and also a few others. Leaders from America. We were not allowed to even board the Singapore airline from the LA airport. I drove all the way from Modesto all the way over there, and they refused. They were so afraid. Why, are they afraid of the opposition leaders until now, and they keep repressing the activists one at a time because they want to hang on to power so they can rule Cambodia just like acting President Sam Rainsy said, belong to the Hun's family. Cambodia is not doesn't belong to the Hun's family at all. It belongs to every Cambodian people. Doesn't matter all over the world and in Cambodia. So we just need to understand that.
And Lok Rikia said he came back from the temple earlier today. What they are so afraid of Lok Rikia? Look at him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was there too, and then
he's a teacher.
We want real democracy. We want change, and that's what people are crying for, dying for. They are going to jail for, and Hun Sen just doesn't see that any opposition to them is democracy is a threat to the dictator. That we all know that. That's why they try to stop us from going in to the country to face trial. We are ready to go to jail for it. Madame Boussahur and all the leaders that were accused were ready to go to jail for what they're accused for. This is just political, purely political. It's just not really one Cambodian to be led by the opposition because they're afraid of losing power. Every case, a scenario that was happening in Cambodia right now, including those 51 that happened yesterday too. If they are working for the CPP, if they want to leave the party, like the fact from CNRP or the Candlelight Party to CPP, they will be either suspended or they will be the case will drop. See that? If they committed a crime, how can the CPP drop their case just because they want to join the CPP team? So that's purely political right there. Our viewer need to know, our audience need to understand that. So Sanctuary is another example. Go ahead and play the video for our audience.
Yeah, let me back up and look Ricky a little bit. Yesterday, what they call mass trial. I don't think you even witnessed that in America. I don't think there's any country has such thing as mass trial. So at the same time, they convicted almost 60 oppositions. And let me put the list up there before we play. And this is, so you can see the first one, Mr. Sam Rainsy, 8 years. Mr. Eng Chai Ing, Mrs. Boussahur. So the name go on, and there's another list. There's another list that go on and on. This is, I got the list from VOD. I need to tell the source where I got it from, but that's the list that came out yesterday, June 14. mass trial of almost 60 people got convicted, and that just something that you don't hear in other country, and especially you don't hear them in America. And let me play that Ming Terry video so our audience can understand what's going on from yesterday. If I can find it. And the video is from Radio Free Asia.
Police dragged human rights activist Terry Seng into a truck outside a court in Cambodia's capital. She was sentenced to a 6-year jail term for incitement and treason against the Hun Sen regime. The Cambodian American lawyer was one of more than 50 opposition figures convicted Tuesday in a mass trial. She arrived at the Phnom Penh Municipal Court dressed as Lady Liberty. Terry Seng spoke to reporters before her conviction.
I am ready for the sham verdict that will be announced this morning, which will be a guilty verdict. I am ready and prepared to go to the notorious Cambodian prison for my political opinions, for my beliefs. For my belief in democracy. This regime will not let me go free. It will be an unfair and unjust verdict because I am innocent. The others who are charged with me are innocent. But we are living in a dictatorship. We are living in a regime that suppresses and represses its own people, that punishes, that uses the law as a weapon against its own people.
Outside the court, police tussled with relatives of opposition activists who were calling for the activists' release. Terry Seng has drawn media attention for wearing elaborate outfits to her court appearances. She says court proceedings in Cambodia are political theater, and she is playing her part as a political actress.
So the video is from Radio Free Asia, it's from yesterday, and I'm not sure you pay attention to the beginning. She was dragged out of court. She was arrested outside court because that's what she wanted. She wanted to be arrested outside court so the international community can watch her and can see her drag. So they did. They dragged her very quickly, put her in a car. She is in prison. She's been in prison since yesterday. Samady, how do you feel? Are you shocked, or is something that you expected to happen, or is it? To me, it's shocking. But were you shocked?
To me, I expect this to happen because she has said many times that every time before she go to the court, she expect them to arrest her, but they have been delayed the case until now, after their massive landslide election win, which they stole from the new party that just entered the political stage. Right now, I think Hun Sen and his regime, they just feel confident and able to do anything they want. I watch Radio Free Asia. Mr. Chunjan Bhatt himself stated that this is unheard of. Mass trial consists of 60 people arrested in one day, almost 50 people, 50 something plus. And you can see they drag Miss Terry Seng to the vehicle, like they kind of like embarrassed to like implement the law because they know that they don't have enough evidence to conclude her trial in the government Cambodian Supreme Court, which is they use his mother law implemented by the regime. And as one interesting thing that stand out to me is in Cambodia or in the U.S. Under the law, there's a thing called the due process. And I believe judging from that arrest, the Supreme Court did not use proper procedure, in this case, the due process. because as you can see, Ms. Therese Sane quoted that I was arrested for my belief, for my opinion, speech, and my liberty. They did not have any concrete evidence to arrest her that she's involved, heavily involved, or any of her speech that uh, uh, treason against government and cause conflict in the society. And in Cambodia, I think the due process is basically a legal requirement that no Cambodian citizen should be deprived from their legal right without the court properly used the law, which under the due process, the person cannot have their property, seized or be put in jail without first going through the legal system to determine if they are truly guilty with concrete evidence that shows that she committed a crime of treason, and accusing her of what punishment should be applied. In this case, they just drag her away, and all of you, almost 60 of you, shall be punished 6 to 8 years in jail time, which adding up to the previous treason crime that has been went on their name, like Mr. Samady, for example. In one of his speech, he said that right now I'm 70 plus the 50 year that he put on my name, plus now another 8 year. By the time he got out of prison, he's going to be 128 years old. What kind of law putting people like 50 years in prison for just expressing their opinion? This is not a murderer trial. This is just basically opinion regarding the society, which is one democracy in the U.S. And I saw most of the political prisoner that Hun Sen want to arrest, the name that you just showed, like Mr. Vice President Ein Chae-in, Muzahur, Mr. Samasi, Saint Bodrong, and so on. They all got to be able to live in the U.S. And if they committed treason, no country would want to accept them. This just to shows that Cambodia does not practice genuine democracy. They just follow his murder law, according to the regime. And the U.S., I'm glad the U.S. Stand firm behind all those political prisoners that has been wrongfully accused by the Hun Sen regime. And as of now, if you look at Facebook, even the U.S. Embassy saying that arrested Miss Therese Sane is not proper without concrete evidence. That she should be released immediately. That's all I have to say. If Lupuri have anything to add, you can add on top of this.
Were you shocked, Lokriki?
No.
Like the rest of the world, are you shocked?
I am not really shocked. That is what I expected, just like somebody said. This is the mass trial that only happened during the Khmer Rouge era, which I lived through the era from April 17, 1975 to January 7 of 1979 for the period of 4 years, 8 months and 20 days. You could see the people go, just take them to be killed. They have to dig their own graves in the Khmer Rouge era, and not just 60, but hundreds and hundreds of people. That's why close to 2.5 million people died for the period of over 4 years. And now Hun Sen practiced the same way. This is not a surprise to me in the dictatorship style of government like Hun Sen, who was the former Khmer Rouge, supported by Communist China and Vietnam. So this is not a surprise at all. What I want the audience to know is that this court is not the royal government court. It is a CPP court, because you look at who Kitek is. Kitek is the lawyer representing the CPP government. So the PPP is using this court as the apparatus, as a tool to oppress the people, to silence the opposition. That's the idea behind this. And whoever speak against the government or speak for democracy or for the people, they will be charged as inciting and also treason. Look at Kamsaka, the CNRP leaders, who has been accused of treason and conspire with the U.S. government and the Germany government to topple Hun Sen regime, and still stand trial and without any evidence to come to the final conclusion. The court didn't have come up with any solution at all, so he's still hanging there. And if Kamsaka say, okay, I will work for the CPP government, if he were to say that, then his charge would be dropped. The same goes to acting President Sambrangsi too. If Sambrangsi would say, which he would not, we are sure, if he said that, okay, I will go into Cambodia to help the CPP, then all the charges against him will be dropped. You see that? This is purely political. Let me say that again. And they use this court system to silence the opposition. The way to silence them is either to kill them, first to buy them, like during the election that just passed on June the 5th. There's, buy them, threaten them, the people, I mean, and also the opposition. And now look, they threaten not our, but the activists all over the country. Either if they were refused to be bought, then they threatened to go to jail. Some of them have to escape from the village for survival. A few of them right now have to escape somewhere else, let's say from Battambang to Prey and then from Prey to some other places within the country. Those of them that could afford, they probably defect to somewhere else, maybe outside the country. And that is, the government that led by Hun Sen. He just want to silence the opposition and want to rule maybe through his children and his grandchildren, which will never happen because Cambodian people will not allow that. They want change, and the change need to be happening right now. And the people need to know that this court is not independent. This court is another thing too. I want the audience to know that Desmond T, who is the president of the judiciary system institution, is also the member of the CPP permanent committee members. Look, how can you say independent? So they use Kitek as the accuser and take the case to court, who is ruled by Desmond T, as also a CPP leader. So that's why we say this court belong to the CPP, not the royal government's court at all. And that's why they always been the case. And the people need to understand this.
Thank you, Look Ricky. I'm gonna put on this image, and this is the image from her lawyer. His name is Jared Genser. He is an American lawyer that represented her. This is what his statement 6 hours ago. Let me see. This is on his Facebook. Let me read his Facebook. He said, I am devastated and yet unsurprised to announce that earlier today, my former law school classmate and pro bono client, Terry Singh, who is an American Cambodia dual national, was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison in Cambodia on bogus treason charges, and along with dozens of other political activists. Now the hard work begins to get her out. Terry was dressed in the final court appearance as Lady Liberty. That's the picture you see. And here's what her quote, as she told the media outside the courthouse. I am Lady Liberty. I am freedom. I am your breath. You cannot live well without me. I am the colors that enrich your life. I am the music that feeds your soul. I am the oxygen you breathe. This autocratic regime wants to stop you from breathing. This autocratic regime wants to imprison freedom. Free freedom, long live liberty. That's the outfit that she wore to court yesterday. That's the outfit that they arrested her. And this is the first image that she is in prison. That's her prison outfit in Prasaw in Cambodia, just an outside skirt of Phnom Penh. She is in jail. I know Samady hit a little bit on the EBA and GSP. Now, look, Ricky, do you see any impact regarding that or any, because this is an international headline, not just Ming Terry, it's about other almost 60 people that also got convicted in this, what we call mass trial. Do you see any impact on the EBA? I know the EBA is already cut 20%. And last week, the European Union also threatened to withdraw the whole 100%. And now this happening. Do you see any impact on EBA and GSP? GSP is on the American side.
It will. The European Union's already voted in February to give the signal, like the red light to the Hun Sen, draw a line. I would say the red line to the government of Cambodia or the regime, Hun Sen regime, to say, hey, your government will not be legitimate if you exclude the CNRP in the election, the main opposition leaders in the election. And look what happened here in 2022. And Hun Sen still have another chance in 2023, which is a general election. If CNRP is allowed to participate in the general election of 2023, then it will be okay. But if CNRP is excluded, then they will draw that. That's the impact, the effect that regime will pay the price, is that all of the rest of the 80%, the EBA will be cut off, and of course the U.S. government will not renew the GSP at all, and they already know that. So Hun Sen is killing Cambodian again. You know, he has billions and billions of dollars, and the Hun family, but who suffer the most is the people, and does Hun Sen care about them? He knows that the people are suffering. He just play fake politics right now. But again, since he loved power too much, and he want to control over Cambodia, and of course with influence from China and other country as well, Hun Sen wanted to stay longer in power, longer than forever. Actually, he said, I am going to be in power as long as I want. So why do I want that? I want to win this guy, which was sovereignty. So now he instead of using the national interest first, he's play personal, which is very, very wrong. As a leader, you do not do that in the democratic system, democratic society. Leave the personal issues at home. When you're the leader of all, the opposition and also your own party, any parties in there. And now it's unique. I mean, just the party by itself. It's supposed to be multi-party system. Now it's led by CPP. This is
Thank you, Luke Ricky.
Yeah.
I actually one more, Samady. I think Luke Ricky can also answer that as well. Luke Ricky can go first too. How about the U.S. and the Cambodia relations? We're talking about GSP and EBA that impact the economic in Cambodia. How the talk about personal relationship or country relationship when we're talking about Hun Sen and the Biden administrations, how their relationship going to be like after this? Because last week with the news was, the Americans stand firm that Cambodia is building naval base in Ream, and Hun Sen been denying it, and they broke ground last week. So how now that's all these that throwing their American citizen into jail, how's that relationship going to be with the Biden administration right now?
That's a good question. Okay, go ahead, somebody. Yeah.
Oh no, Paul, go first.
Yeah. Anyway, you can add some more. I I think it's going to affect the relationship badly because right now Hun Sen just doesn't care. Putting American citizens in jail just because she speaks her mind and she speaks for the people, especially when she said, um, you know, democracy or liberty is just like your life. You need like air, you breathe in. You don't live without air. You don't live without freedom because your life is meaningless or you're a slave. And this reminds me of the American patriot who I believe John Henry or Patrick Henry, who said that give me freedom or give me liberty or give me death. And the same way here, they set you liberty, and that's what Miss Zane Terry did. She wear the symbol of liberty to let the world know that this doesn't happen in Cambodia. It's only in America. So please give us freedom. And people in Cambodia should know too. Do not sleep. Do not stay still. Because right now your liberty is taken away from you. And if you don't want to do it, nobody else going to do it. And you life will end up like in the Khmer regime. They will take you right now. They just take the opposition leader. Once the opposition leader is gone, they will take you. Yeah, you cannot live peacefully at all. The peace that they say they claim is only the peace in the ghost land or the peace in the cemetery. And to go back to the relationship wise, yes, America is not happy at all. And of course, we work so hard against the communists, and Hun Sen is embracing the communist idea by allowing the communist China to build the military naval base against the U.S. policy and also against the Cambodian constitution too. That's really violating the Cambodian constitution because Hun Sen is violating the sovereignty part of the constitution. That's also stated in the Paris Peace Accord. So he's violating everywhere the U.S. interest and the the Cambodian constitution, and also against the people's will.
Thank you, Lokrikia. Somebody, would you like to add anything about U.S. relationship now? I mean, when Hun Sen was here for the ASEAN meeting, they wouldn't let him stand next to President Biden. They wouldn't let him sit next to President Biden. Hun Sen is the chairmanship of ASEAN, and when U.S. ASEAN, so I mean U.S. the top and ASEAN is also the chairman. It should be leader and leader sitting next to each other, discussed all that. But in case it was an embarrassment for Hun Sen, he's here, they wouldn't let him stand. Like I said, stand next to Biden. They wouldn't let him sit next to Biden. So how the relationship now that last week, like Lokrikia said, and all over the new Ream naval base, American keep saying it, you are building this thing, you cannot hide it. We see you building, we see you destroying our facility that we built for you, and we see drenching the sand, so you're able to for the deeper oceans, and now this. So what is your input on the relationship, Samady?
Well, Hun Sen thought he might rebuild trust with the Biden administration, which is the U.S. government and the EU, by coming here. But I think due to the embarrassment, people throwing shoes at him, with the everything that you just mentioned, he quoted that he did not want him, and Pisces Pound said that we did not want to be under any foreign colonization, which is implying the U.S. and the EU, and they want to strengthen the rule of law in Cambodia, which the law in its independent constitution in Cambodia and he claimed that Cambodia is ready to move on by itself without EBA. This just shows that Hun Sen regime commitment to move away from the U.S. and EU, from this quote that they just stated regarding EBA. So I think as of now, arresting 60 people, rebuilding the seaport, which they claim that they're going to use it for small and medium naval, but that's not true. They're planning on using it on large nuclear carrying naval. In this case, China is the only one that possessed it in Asia. We know no country in Asia has the ability to port that kind of naval firepower in a port in Cambodia, which is only China in this case. So right now, I think they're going to withdraw everything, and Cambodia is going to head toward the wrong direction now. And the question come to mind is that the U.S. have to wait. Is Cambodia an authoritarian? Should they be punished until Cambodia undergoes systematic political change, or is it necessary and crucial key partner on the front line that can support and become friend to the U.S. and Cambodian can act as a great power competition against China? In this case, it is evident that Cambodia is not a key partner to China government. Hun Sen just demonstrate all his previous action, destroying the port now. He really committed to building the port that able to hold nuclear carrying naval that can come to U.S. anytime. In this case, I don't think Cambodia would be a great benefit to the U.S. I think the U.S. is going to cut ties with Cambodia, and the EU will follow through as long as the U.S. act on this strategy.
Anything to add, Ulrike?
Well, you can see that it's going to be the relationship is going to be a little bit sour than more negative than positive. That's all we can say. And although the U.S. try to make it better, but Hun Sen keep violating one thing after another, starting from um, violating democracy, dissolving the party, and then now arresting the activists, and then also putting Miss Secretary in jail for just to speak up her, just because she want to speak her mind. She speaks for the youth or the Cambodian people who are voiceless, and then more and more, a lot of negative things that happen. So this, not even to mention about CNRP and Kamsaka leaders in under house arrest. It's just that's not what the U.S. want to see, and they spend a lot of money. They spend like billions of dollars over the past years in 1993 to help grow democracy in Cambodia, but Hun Sen is going backward now, back to dictatorship style again. That's what do you think? They spend a lot of money and time invested, and now this leader want to go back to communist. This is not. That's why I said it's sour the relationship, and it could be that they eventually they will be uh, broken. I know one or two countries has already withdrew their embassy from Phnom Penh, and we don't want to see this because when this happens, war is going on again, and who's going to die? Cambodian people, the little guys will die. We don't want our blood to be flowing along the Mekong River and Tonle Sap again. We only have 15, 16 million people compared to Vietnam who had almost 100 million, and Thailand's about 80 million people, and we are very few. We deserve to die when Hun Sen doesn't follow, doesn't rule by law.
Thank you, Ulrike. last questions. I just remember I was going to end, but I remembered that yesterday was very, I would say it's very sad, very pretty black day. Very you feel that democracy is walking backward in Cambodia, and it really proved by putting Ming Terry saying in jail. So that's for voicing her opinion supporting Mr. Sam Rainsy. So basically, freedom of expressions in Cambodia is dead yesterday. And many of my audience and many people express how sad they are, how frustrated they are, how and what they say was what they can do. Ming Terry is an American citizen, so what I told people to do is, we have HR 4686 and we have S3052. We need to push that to pass, and when that pass, it's gonna sanction Hun Sen and his regime. And we said it again, Hun Sen is in power for what, counting 37, but since 1979, over 40 years. They have a lots of money, lots and lots of money overseas. And that's what HR 4686 and S3052 will do. Will sanction, will free their asset because they are destroying democracy, not respecting human rights in Cambodia. And my thing would be, please write your representative, please write your senator, asking them to push that. Many of them we met already, but we need to help them push and how bring them aware of the situation in Cambodia. Their citizens, their American citizen is in jail right now, and they need to push hard and they need to realize what's going on. That's what I suggested. Do you have any suggestion for our audience, for people that feel so hopeless yesterday, not hopeless, feel very frustrated of what's going on in Cambodia?
We just want, I know there's a pain. It's also frustration. The level of frustration is very high for the leaders and also the activists and the people because of this mass trial. But like Linda said, we cannot just stay still. We need to ask, we need to write the senator, make a call, or knock on their doors to say, we need your help, we need your support. Hun Sen is killing Cambodian people and oppressing the people who are against or speak against him, and wants the democracy to survive. And they are actually using the money in a corrupted way everywhere. So let's get these laws passed, these bills passed, not the law, but get these bills passed. HR 4686 and S3052 need to be passed. So please write, knock on the door, or make a call to your senators, to your congressmen. For the people in Cambodia, I would suggest that, we do not have the freedom right now, but we need to just join the Friday Women demonstration. We don't have the freedom of press, of course. We don't have the freedom of assembly. We don't have the freedom of petition. We don't have the freedom of speech. We might have some freedom of religion, but even the religion is also get in trouble too. A lot of you could see our monk who speak against the party also kicked out from the temple. He could not find the temple to live in Cambodia. So even the freedom of religion, we don't have them. And that's the Bill of Rights here in America. So please stand up for your rights. Again, no freedom will be given to you unless you stand up and speak, and not just one or two, but the whole country. Like Terry's saying, led the way. So now let's follow. And she sacrificed so much, for the girl to shave her head and to go to jail is not easy. So don't take that light at all. Use that as a deep meaning. It's the way to work, the way to deal with the dictators. That's what we have to do. or we all will be in trouble.
Thank you, Logrikia. Yes, not just one or two people, the power of the people. Please stand up. Samady, any last word before we say goodbye to our audience?
Look, Ulrike already said everything clearly. We hope that we're able to push it through the bill, and hopefully those almost 60 people, including Terry Sane, able to be released soon, immediately, because I don't think the government can find any concrete evidence that she is being a traitor to the government, because she doesn't openly supported any political party. She just want to express her opinion, the stuff that happened in our society, and that's what she did. She should at least have some basic form of human right, because she is not a political figure in this case. She just want to express her freedom in Cambodia.
And I just want to add one word that probably the audience need to we compare this so the audience will understand more about this regime, Hun Sen regime. If he gave you the salt to eat, and then you say the salt is salty, and the government doesn't say no. You need to say the salt is sweet. If you say the salt is salty, I'm going to put you in jail. So they planted, they crafted, they just do anything, whatever they say, it's the law for the weak and the poor. It's just an example. You cannot. They took the house away from. They took the land. They destroyed the house, and then the people are the victims, and then the victims stand up, say, "You took my land. You destroy our house." The people will go to jail. The victim will go to jail. The one that grabbed the land grabber, did not go to jail. This is what happened in Cambodia. Is that the lifestyle you want to live for your children, for your future generation? Please, yeah, I don't think so. So we need to help you. All of us need to stand up.
Thank you, Logrikia. What Logrikia said is stop going through the process, stop agreeing, stop saying that the salt is so sweet, stop agreeing with it. Say it, if it's right, say it right, it's wrong, say it wrong. And that's what we need to do. We don't want people to say, oh, this is okay and that is not okay. No, if it's wrong, it's wrong. It's right, it's right. And that's what in Cambodia, there's so many people just going through the process, I guess just want to survive. And sooner or later, if it's not your family, you will not survive, because just holding on to the string just to survive, just to agree to survive. But that's what the regime want you to believe. That's the regime give you a little breath to breathe, but at the end of the day, sooner or later, it will be your family. So
exactly. Right now, they like I said again, don't forget, they arrested the opposition. But when the opposition is gone, which we will not let it go away. We're gonna work hard for it. Okay, don't give the people hopeless. No, but just an example. Then the next turn is gonna be your family members, and then everyone else will be affected. But again, we will work hard. The opposition will be strong and united. We will use this pain and suffering to enhance our struggle until we have the victory in the near future. And I'm determined to do that. Okay.
Thank you, Logrikia, and thank you so much for joining our show today. Your input is always helping us. You always explain things really well to us, and thank you so much. And thank you, Samady, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, our audience, for being here today. Our topic today is regarding yesterday current events in Cambodia. And we've been explaining the whole process. So the Cambodia court convicted opposition figures in a mass trial. So what we talked about was almost 60 people got convicted, including Miss Sang Thierry. She's an American citizen. She's currently in jail. So that's what is going on. So please raise your voice. Please put your voice to a good use. If you are in America, please write to your representative, write to your senator, asking them what's going on with HR 4686 and S3052. We are working on that since last year's. They are many of them for the House Representative. They support them already, so we need to ask them the HR 4686 that already supported by House of Representative. We need to push those. They need to push those. They cannot be stopped at the Senate and not going. But we are working hard. We are working hard on those two legislations, so that way we can sanction the Hun Sen regime, because I said corruption in Cambodia is a chronic issue, and the people that got hurt is the Cambodian normal citizen. So land grabbing, deforestations, trenching on lake, and I'm sure our audience know last week was raining. So what happened when it rained in Phnom Penh? Flooded everywhere. So that's the result of 40 years of development by the regime. So please, if you are in America and you are frustrated with what's going on yesterday, please use your voice. Please use your time on the computer to type and send email. Thank you so much, and I will see you next Tuesday. Thank you.